Okay, so this is for psychology assignment 1. If we go into the task, so the first task will ask you to describe and explain personality and motivation and give examples to provide practical application to the theories. So the first part is personality, and it asks you to define personality. Then it asks you to look at the different personality theories and types, and we'll go into that in a bit more detail in a minute. And then the effects of personality on sports performance. Okay, describe is obviously the pass. If you manage to explain it and apply examples, you've got your merit. And if you evaluate, and we'll come to that in a minute, then that would be where you get the distinction criteria. The second part of your report should look at motivation, so it's a definition of motivation, the types of motivation, which is intrinsic, extrinsic. Motivational theories are only two that you need to know, which is the achievement motivation theory and the attribution theory. And then factors contributing to a motivational climate, how you develop that motivational climate. We talked about the word target, and you need to apply that. And then effects of motivation on sports performance again. It's describe and explain. Describe being the pass, merit being the explanation being the merit, and the merit requires you to apply examples and explain in detail. And then we're looking at the evaluate. So what is the evaluate? Well, evaluate, you need to evaluate the positives and negatives of the theories and views surrounding personality and motivation. Okay, you also need to evaluate their effect on sports performance, given relevant reasons in order to justify your findings. So evaluate personality theories and types and link to sports-specific examples. Evaluate motivational theories and types and link to sports-specific examples. Consider how athletes' personality and motivation interlink and evaluate the impact on sports performance, and evaluate the positives and negative effects of personality and motivation on sports performance. So I'm just going to show you a layout that I've done that might help you in terms of how to structure it. So here I've got my psychology assignment 1, and you can see the very first thing I've done is I've defined what personality is, and I've just got that in here. Then I've got my subheadings, so I've got to go on and do my schematic view. I haven't done that at the moment. Then I do need to do the psychodynamic theory, and then I've done the trait theory. So let me just give you an example of what I've done for the trait theory. So it says this theory suggests that we are born with our personality traits and that we will stay the same no matter what. So whatever circumstance we're in, will stay the same. And the theory states that that you'll either be an introvert or an extrovert, stable or unstable. The introvert and the extrovert dimensions of this theory tell us how sociable or unsociable we are, so how we interact with people. The stable part refers to the level of nerves and anxiousness that one possesses. This theory does not just put you under one type of person, like type A, type B. With the trait theory, there's a scale, and you're placed on it, and it will say, for example, how much of an introvert you are and how stable you are, or introvert, unstable you are. And the same for extrovert, how much of an extrovert you are, stable or unstable. This theory allows more variety within it. This theory is demonstrated when we look at different types of sportsmen. For example, the when we look at different sports personalities, such as Mike Brown, for instance, we could say he's an extrovert, he's confident on the pitch and will strongly argue his point. However, the England player Anthony Watson seems to come across more of an introvert because actually he's quite a nervous player and he doesn't really show that outward side of him. However, we could, that's what the theory would believe. But however, we could argue against that and say that there are times when Anthony Watson has demonstrated extrovert, and that kind of comes into this next bit where the trait theory. Oops, I don't need that bit there. The trait theory. There are flaws with every theory, and with the trait theory, although it's plotted on a graph and it says what you are, the flaw is that actually your personality doesn't stay the same in certain situations. And it does differ depending on what situations you put a person in. So I've put the strength of this theory is that it's recorded on a graph, and therefore people can be closer or further to unstable and stable. This is a strength, as it is not just the state that you are one or another. It doesn't just state whether you're one or the other, which is more reliable, as there's not just two types of people in the world within sport. The weakness of the theory is that there are more than just one dimensions or two dimensions of personality. Therefore, when we judge it and we put it into these categories, it's not necessarily true. Another weakness states that, like I said earlier, that our personality does differ depending on the situation and environment we are placed in. Okay, so I've kind of gone through how I do the trait theory, and that approach there needs to be applied to all the theories. Okay, so you would go on and you do it for this, and then you come on to type A and type B, and you describe and explain type A and type B. Remember, keep linking sports examples here. So above I talked about Mike Brown and Anthony Watson. Throughout you need to link the sports examples. Then I've done athletes versus non-athletes, and this bit here is quite important. So when you get to these bits, and I'll just highlight them on this video now as, let's just do them as blue for instance. Okay, these bits here are the bits where you can potentially pick up your distinction criteria. Okay, but it requires you to go into quite a lot of detail. Because we're evaluating personality and we're linking a lot of theories into this, we're linking examples into it, and we're making judgments. Okay, so athletes' personality often have to have some degree of type A characteristics, as they need the drive and the will to win. Without this, an athlete would struggle to be successful. However, the drive can result in an athlete's downfall, as they may pile pressure on themselves, and some individuals don't have the characteristics or makeup to deal with the level of pressure and may crumble. Andy Murray is a fine example of a successful British athlete. It is evident that his personality contains the will to win. This was evident when he was edging ever closer to becoming the world number one in November 2017, and he never gave up and had the thirst for competition. However, if we look deeper than this, we could see it coincided with a happy and relaxed Andy Murray off the court, which enabled him to get away from tennis with his family. But when competing, he was focused. This combination provided him stability, and this combination provides stability and provides the opportunity for him to perform at his maximum. However, not all athletes have the same personality. If we look at Ben Flowers, he's a rugby league player who's highly driven and has an urge for competition, but placed in a big grand final, he was unable to control his emotions, and this resulted in being sent off. This shows that Ben is an extrovert, has an extroverted personality, and it differs to Murray. Sorry, this shows that Ben is an extroverted personality and differs to Murray, and we could link this to the situational theory as to why he reacted in this way. Non-athletes, on the other hand, may have similar traits. For example, you can also be driven, but place that energy towards work-related goals. So if someone's really driven and they're really competitive, but in a work environment, not in a sports environment, it's often suggested that individuals who are involved in art related backgrounds have a more relaxed but creative personality, which may have less urgency than someone like Murray. The reason they may differ could be because of their background or their upbringing, which could relate back to the social learning theory. And then you can go on and you can say more about why athletes and non-athletes differ, and make some judgments on that and link examples. Then you'd have to do the same approach with team and individual athletes, why they differ, how they differ. So you might say that more extroverted or type A people are team athletes, whereas type B people might be more individual athletes because they have to have a lot more focus, they can't rely on anyone else. So you need to talk about that. And then we go on to elite versus non-elite, so professionals effectively versus maybe just your Sunday league player. And then type A athletes versus type B. If you're looking for the distinction, you need to go into this type of detail, okay, and maybe slightly more. If you're looking for the merit, you need to explain it, and link examples, and description is just to describe the process. Once you've done that, you will have finished personality, and you will either come out with a merit or distinction for that section. You then move on to the motivation section. Again, you need to define motivation, this time not personality. Then I need you to describe and explain intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, what they are, give examples of them, how they impact performance. Then you need to describe and explain the achievement motivation theory, what it is, and examples of who you believe's natural NAF personalities and how that natural NAF can impact an athlete's motivation and performance. Then you need to do the attribution theory, explain the attribution theory in detail and link to sport-specific examples, stating how different reasons for winning or losing can predict future performance and motivation and how this may impact sports performance. Then you need to, and this bit here again is like the personality bit where you get your distinction part. So again, I'll turn these blue. Okay, so that should be blue, that should be blue, and that should be blue. So evaluate how motivation can have a positive impact on performance. So evaluate how evaluate how motivation can have a positive impact on sports performance and provide detailed reasons how and why. Provide sport-specific examples of where motivation has had a positive impact on performance and state why. Give link to examples. And then evaluate how motivation can have a negative impact on performance. Consider overtraining, burnout, staleness. Again, link examples and how it can impact performance. Use and constantly relate back to sport-specific examples throughout to back up your points. And then it says evaluate how motivation can have an impact on future success and failure. So evaluate how an athlete's reasons for success and failure, which links to the attribution theory, can have an impact on future performance. For example, why England always losing penalties. Okay, so often they'll attribute it to a reason why they lost on penalties. Does that have a positive impact on their future performances? Yes or no? Well, it's quite clear that no, it doesn't, because they always seem to fail in that situation. So what do they attribute their reasons why they lose, and how does that impact future performances? And then finally, explain motivational climate. So how to develop a motivational climate for a team or individual. Use the word or the term target and break it down and explain how you develop that. And that's the assignment. Okay, blue sections are where you can particularly when you have an opportunity to pick up your distinction. Remember, you need examples throughout to demonstrate your understanding. Yes, it's a big assignment, but we've done everything in class. If you've got questions, email me. But it's over to you now. Thank you.